Hello, my name is Amanda. Welcome to my channel, Birch and Lily. Today is March 16th, 2021, and I am recording a day late today. I did want to just put out a little thank you to everyone on Instagram. I did post on Instagram yesterday just saying that I wasn't feeling like myself. I was kind of having an off day and that I was going to delay recording a day or two. And everyone was really kind about it. I really appreciate it, and I'm so glad that I did take that day for myself. I really needed it, and now I'm here the next day recording and feeling a lot better. So thank you so much for being patient, and I don't know, you'll know when this video's up, but I think I'm just going to upload this video and put it up like whenever it is done uploading, as opposed to at a certain time like I usually do. So yeah, that's kind of why I was missing this morning. Yeah, anyways, let's move on. There are two places that you can find me on the internet, the first being on Instagram at birch.and.lily, and the second on Ravelry at birchandlily. I would love if you would check me out over there as well. I do share stuff almost daily about all of the projects that I am working on. I am hoping to start sharing more cross-stitch content on there as well. I haven't been very good at that. I mostly share knitting content because that's what the page started out as. But I would love to start sharing some cross-stitch stuff as well, so definitely check me out over on Instagram. And the other announcement that I do have is that I have a pair of socks releasing this weekend on Saturday, I believe is the 20th. That is the day I'm planning on releasing a new sock pattern. I will be recording and posting a video here on my channel just giving you a preview of the pattern. I haven't recorded it yet, but I will do that probably tomorrow or Thursday and get that all edited and up for you guys just so you have a really in-depth view of said pattern. Yeah, I'm really excited for it. I haven't released a lot this year, but I think I feel my designy bug coming back. So hopefully you'll see a whole bunch more new patterns for me in the future. The view might have changed ever so slightly. I've had to switch up all my filming stuff because I'm a klutz and I dropped my mic and it broke the anti-shock mount. And so I have my camera backwards on the tripod so that the anti-shock mount doesn't droop into the view of my camera, if that makes any sense. The microphone has like a furry wind guard type thing on it. It sits on an anti-shock mount that's so like you can carry it around and it doesn't make noises if it jiggles. But I dropped it and the anti-shock mount broke, which makes it sag in one direction, and I can't get it off the top of the part that holds my iPhone. Anyways, long story short, I'm filming kind of weird today, so if I move things around a couple times, that is why. You might also notice, if you don't watch my cross-stitch videos, that I have a new backdrop. I am working on getting some cross-stitch up on here, but I've just moved stuff around because I have a tiny, tiny craft room, and this gets stuff less, how do I put it? This makes it so that my lights and everything take up less space in the room. So anyways, I've been rambling on for like 5 minutes here. Let's move into what I have been working on for the past couple weeks. It's a knitting episode. I haven't been doing a lot of knitting. I've been really monogamous, I found, over the past couple weeks, but I am excited to show you what I have. And I also have a couple other things that I'd like to talk about near the end. So the first project I'd love to show you is a new cast on, and this one is exciting because if you've noticed the past couple knitting episodes, I haven't really been into sock knitting lately, but this pair of socks has made me love it again. They are in a project bag from Birch Grove, and these are the Icinkles Socks by Renee Strouts. They are absolutely gorgeous. I am knitting these up out of Woolberry Fiber Co., one of their sock sets. This is the homemade jam sock set. Hopefully it's not blowing out too much, but it has their homemade jam colorway, which is a permanent part of their collection, I believe, and then I am not sure what this is, but it's beautiful. And yeah, I am loving this yarn. Of course, if you've been watching me for some time or you're new, either way, my favorite yarn is probably Woolberry Fiber Co., so you see it a lot on my channel, and I'm not going to apologize for it. So once I get this untangled, because everything is always tangled, or untangle to the best of my abilities at least. Here we go. So actually I'll hold them this way. This is this beautiful pair of socks. They use mosaic knitting, which is something that I am familiar with from my Luminaria shawl. That really got me into mosaic knitting, and so when I saw these socks and saw it used on a pair of socks, I just knew I had to knit them. And I've knit these up in literally this, I've got all this done in 3 days, which I have not done with a pair of socks in a long time. So the fact that I did that makes me know that I'm loving them, obviously. But they are so easy to knit. Mosaic knitting is so easy. It's nothing like color work. You're literally only using one color every round. You're not trying to work with 2 different strands of yarn at the same time. So they have this beautiful icicle-like pattern. This is basically a 2x2 rib. It's a mix of many different things for the ribbing, but it all matches up with the icicle patterns on the leg of the sock. This pattern does come charted, and there's a little bit of written, but it's mostly charted. So yeah, it does striping in the top of it, and then now I have faded out of the striping, and I have barely started the heel flap on these, but the rest of the sock will be knit in the main color, the Homemade Jam colorway. But yeah, I am knitting these on a 2.25mm needle, which is a US one. I did cast on the 66 sock, or 66 stitch size sock. And I did end up, after I finished all of this mosaic knitting, I made the decision to decrease the amount of stitches I had on my needle down to 64, just so it was a little bit snugger. I knew that the mosaic knitting would make my sock ever so slightly tight, so I was okay with it being 66 stitches in the leg, but I wanted to make sure that the foot was down to 64 so that it had a nice fit for me. And yeah, like I said, I am absolutely loving these. They're turning out so well. They work up so fast, and they're so straightforward. I think that's what I really like about them. They look complex, but they're really simple, and that's kind of the knitting I need right now, because the next project I'm showing you is really complicated, and that's basically all the complicated I can do for my knitting right now. So these have been a wonderful find, and I'm very happy to be knitting them. So, like I said, I've been a super monogamous knitter lately. Reason being is this next project that I'm about to show you. I have been absolutely loving it. This is my Midsummer Rose shawl, a pattern by Lene Tosti. You can find it in issue 5 of Lene magazine, or I believe it is available for individual purchase now as well on Ravelry. I'm not sure about other knitting pattern sources. On that note, I definitely am looking into other places to put my knitting patterns. Let me know down below in the comments the places that you like to purchase your knitting patterns, because I know Ravelry is switching over exclusively to their new website design in the next, I think at the end of this month, and I know for a lot of people it's really hard to use. Even myself, it does give me a little bit of a headache to use, so I would definitely like to make sure that I have my patterns available places that are accessible for all of you. So if there's somewhere that you would love me to put my patterns up, please let me know down in the comments, and I would be happy to do so. But all that aside, Midsummer Rose shawl, loving it. And I will show you the yarn that I'm knitting this out of. This here is Madeline Tosh yarn. It is their singles base, I believe it's called Prairie, which is a 100% superwash merino yarn, and this colorway is Rose. It's a little bit washed out here right now, but relatively, if I hold it back here, it's relatively close to what it looks like. It's a beautiful blush rose pink color. Very subtle, which I love. And I don't have a proper progress keeper on here, but I'm going to make sure I grab one and put it on it while I'm up here once I'm done recording this video. But I do have just a stitch marker on it to show you guys where I was last time, because I've got a lot done. So here it is. that is where I was last episode, so 2 weeks ago. And this is how much I have done so far. So the pattern is made up of a whole bunch of different charts that you repeat a certain amount of times. I am on, I believe, chart F now, and I think it goes to H, but chart F is repeated quite a few times before you move on to the next chart. So yeah, beautiful lace. I wish I could easily stretch this out more to show it to you better. I can't wait until this is blocked and the lace really opens up. But I am knitting this with a US 3 needle, which is a 2.5, because I have decided to use a lace weight yarn for this shawl instead of the called for fingering weight. So I decided to drop down a needle size, or a couple needle sizes, I think, just so that it wasn't too airy, that the lace was still visible. Oh, that kind of shows it if I stretch it like that. If I am leaning to this side, it's because that's kind of where I can see myself on the camera right now, but I'm trying not to. So the pattern does call, I just looked at my notes, for a 3.5 millimeters, so a US 4. So I did drop down like, what's that, a size and a half? But it's working up really well. I think the gauge is beautiful, and I'm really happy with it. And I don't know if you can notice this green yarn running through the top. If you're not familiar with something called a lifeline, oh my goodness, doing lace knitting, this is so important. Depends on the chart, especially on this pattern, but on this project, every 4 rows, I pull this, actually I can pull it out because I need to move it up anyways. I just have this piece of waste yarn, and so every couple rows, I will pull it out from being wove in to the shawl, and then I will reweave it in through all of the stitches here on my needles, so that if I mess up something in the repeat, when I pull it off the needles, I can just pull it down to that spot and not have to like feel like I need to completely restart, or I have to slowly tink back every single stitch, because I've got hundreds and hundreds of stitches on the needle right now. So a lifeline is incredible. It's so easy to do. Yes, it takes a little bit of time, but it's so worth it in the long run, not having to fix mistakes. So I will definitely continue to do that. Like I said, I've been doing it, if I find the chart really hard, I've been doing it every 2 rounds. But if I don't, I've been doing it like every 4 to 6. I have even done a full chart repeat depending on how good I am at paying attention that day. But I would highly recommend a lifeline with this pattern. Honestly, if you're not super confident with your knitting, you could put a lifeline in on literally anything. I know some people, if they've never done, say, like a heel flap and gusset, for example, before on a pair of socks, if you put a lifeline in on that sock right before you start the heel flap and gusset, if you mess it up a couple times, you can rip that all out and you're right back to where you were, and you don't have to worry about going too far, tearing out your knitting on that sock. So lifelines are amazing. But yeah, this is, am I even showing? Yes, this is the right side. This is my Midsummer Rose shawl. I love it. I'm going to obviously continue working on it. I would love to have it done by this summer. It's definitely like an airy enough shawl that it would keep you warm on a colder summer evening, but not too warm. I think that's all I have to say. Oh, the bag. I can show you the bag this project is in. I knew this episode was going to be short, and it just feels so weird. I don't know. Anyways, this project here is in a bag by That Crafty Little Fox with a beautiful waxed canvas bottom. It's navy. I don't know if you can tell on camera, but it's a beautiful navy with this lovely mustard color on top. And it's a beautiful bag. So other than those 2 projects that I just showed you, I haven't worked on a ton of other things. I have a couple different pairs of self-striping socks that I'm working on, but I really haven't put in more than a couple rounds on any of them, so they're not really worth showing, to be honest. But I do have something that I'm going to start, that I'm going to show you the yarn for. It's all round up. I just have to do my gauge swatch, which means it's a sweater, because that's the only thing I gauge swatch for. And then I will be ready to start that. And then there was something else that I wanted to talk about. I've shown them a couple times on this podcast. I always call it a podcast, but really it's like a vlog. A crafting vlog? I don't know. Anyways, I have shown these a couple times. These are my Crafty socks by Andrea Mowry. They are a beautiful pattern. I am not knocking them in the slightest, but the fact that they have a gingerbread house as a progress keeper on them, and I really don't want to work on them, it's not worth keeping them. I love the pattern. The baubles are beautiful. The cables down the middle are beautiful, but there's just too many cables. Like, there's literally cables every second round, and I just can't bring myself to do it because I think it's hurting my hands. So I'm gonna frog these. I just wanted to bring them up on this episode so that you knew what happened to them. If you were curious about my progress on them, I'm frogging them. I can't bring myself to knit these. Why have this yarn sitting around with a half knit pair of socks when I can make something that I really enjoy out of it? So these are going goodbye. I am totally fine with that. This year I have been really a lot better than normal at just being okay with pulling something out if I don't want to work on it anymore, because why have that yarn sitting there and doing nothing? And on that note, the podcast, oh, I'm gonna have to look it up on my computer. I know her as Squirrel Pie Productions, but she's changed her podcast name. One second. I have my computer here, and I will find her latest episode because it came out not too long ago. Here we go. Moonstone Makes. The host of that is Tommy, and she is running a make-along, knit-along that is all about either finishing, frogging, or, oh, I can't remember what the third one is. Anyways, the one thing that's sticking out in my head, obviously, is frogging. So if you are like me, and you have projects that you just really don't want to work on anymore, and you have decided to frog them, you should check out Tommy at Moonstone Makes. I will make sure she's linked down below, but enter her make-along, because why would you not do that? If there's an option for you to frog something and make something new out of it, then enter a make-along. Sounds pretty fun. So yeah, Crafty Socks by Andrea Mowry are going to be going away. I am totally happy with that, totally fine. I want to make something else out of that yarn because I love it so much. So I will be doing that. And the last thing that I wanted to show you, I have yarn wound up to make a Pink Fizz by Andrea Mowry. I'll have popped a picture on the screen, I'm sure, but I am so excited to cast this project on. I don't know, I just love the lace on this sweater. It's so pretty. And I've actually never knit myself a sweater with mohair in it. I have knit a completely mohair sweater probably a couple years ago now. I knit it for Woolberry Fiber Co. as a sample, but I really haven't worked with mohair a lot since then. And now that I say this, this is not mohair, this is Surrey alpaca. I did have a hard time with the mohair. The reason I remembered that's Surrey is because it irritated my nose. I think I'm slightly allergic to it. So I'm curious to see how this Surrey alpaca knits up and how it compares in that way. I even found when I was winding it up on my ball winder that I didn't feel it going up my nose as much and making me all sneezy. So I think I will be a lot happier with it. I find it a lot softer than the mohair too, so I'm really excited to work with it. This is the yarn that I'm going to be using. This yarn was a exclusive colorway for the Woolberry Fiber Co. collective, which I am a part of. Basically, it's a monthly subscription, and we get two different colorways to choose from every month that are exclusive, and we get one skein for free, and then we can purchase as many other ones as we want. So this was February's colorway, Whisper. This was the, I believe, the tonal colorway, and then of course there's always a speckled colorway that you can choose from as well, but I really loved the tonal, and this is what I'm going to knit my Pink Fizz out of. I'm really excited. My favorite color is purple, and I have like barely any pink garments. Pink. My favorite color is purple, and I have barely any purple garments knit up, so I'm really excited to work with this. Really excited to test out the Surrey and see how I feel about it. And yeah, oh, it's so soft. But yeah, that is basically what I've been working on, what my plans are for the next little while. Really excited to kind of be getting my knitting mojo back, my sock knitting more than anything, because I was kind of feeling down in the dumps from not wanting to knit socks. But it is what it is, it happens, and I'm glad it's kind of starting to come back. Thank you so much for joining me today. If you are new, I really appreciate you checking me out. And if you're not new, of course, I love you as well so much for joining me again. If you haven't subscribed, please consider doing so. If you like what you saw today, you can also give this video a thumbs up. And you can also hit the notification bell down below to know when I upload new videos. I do upload every Tuesday, 10 a.m. Eastern Time, alternating between knitting and cross-stitch videos. And I won't keep you any longer because I know there are tons of other fantastic videos out there that you are itching to watch. So again, thank you for joining me, and I will see you all next week. Bye!